History is the story of humanity's endless pursuit of meaning, power, and progress. With each passing era, we have taken steps forward. But alongside progress, there is always challenges, misuse of power, moral dilemmas, and unintended consequences. The two chapters in our history, which remain crucial yet often underappreciated, the Enlightenment and the Industrial Age. Today, we will explore these eras through the lens of Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus and Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot. And now, let the discussion on the Enlightenment and the Industrial Age commence. Long before the age of engines and motors, life moved at a slower pace, and the Church held unshakable power, reigning supreme not only spiritual belief but also governance and daily life of the Western societies. This was the Dark Ages. This era witnessed the rise of the papal authority during the 590 CE and was led by Pope Gregory I. For a millennium, the Church shaped every aspect of life from the decision of the king to the actions of common people. By the 12th century, cracks began to form in this authority. Popes like Alexander IV faced accusation of moral decay, while in the 14th century, Pope Urban VI's authoritarian rule further caused problems for the Church. And by the 16th century, Pope Leo X's infamous sale of indulgences stirred widespread outrage, including Martin Luther, which later led to his call for reformation. The revocation of Edict of Nantes in 1685 marked a major shift in European history. By stripping Protestants of their rights, it forced mass migration across Western Europe. Skilled workers fled France, spreading ideas of advocacy of human rights and religious tolerance. For Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire, the revocation symbolized tyranny and irrationality, which reinforced their argument for religious tolerance and secular governance. As Europe entered the Enlightenment era, thinkers rejected traditional authority and embraced the idea of intellectual freedom, based on human reason and evidence. This cultural shift laid the groundwork for later political and social revolutions, like the French Revolution and the American Revolution. The Enlightenment was a revolution of thought, where reason and rational thinking replaced tradition and authority. It emphasized clear principles, applying logic, testing conclusions with evidence, and reviving principles when evidence demanded it. Morality was no longer seen as granted by supreme power or God, but by human rational thought and supporting evidence. This shift is echoed in Dr. Faustus, a story of a scholar who sells his soul to the devil in exchange for unlimited knowledge and power. Faustus willingly crosses moral boundaries to attain his goals, seeing morality as nothing more than a social construct. Works like Newton's Principia Mathematica showcase the power of reason, while Locke's two treatises of government introduced the ideas of liberty which influenced democratic thought to reshape society. Yet, the tragic ending of Dr. Faustus, where he is dragged to hell despite his desperate pleas to God, left the Western society to wonder. Has God abandoned them?
I'll burn my books!
By the 19th century, the long age of the Enlightenment has ended, and the Western society now searches for a new principle to hold on to. The first industrial revolution, driven by scientific progress and technological advancement, promised to change the society for the better. The invention of the steam engine and new manufacturing method all seem to reflect the hope in progress. Humanity took it as a stepping stone fueled by the belief in science and technology. Filled with hope, the Western society adopted this new faith, convinced that it will sustain their future. With the Enlightenment's emphasis on reason and secularism fading, the Industrial Age brought forth a new belief system, centered around science and technological progress. Welcome to the Industrial Age, an era where capitalism emerged. The mass establishment of factories created a demand for labor, improving the living standard of the society, but gradually turning workers into soulless tools of production. As technology advanced rapidly, it also brought darker consequences. The same industrial power that fueled progress also produced weapons of mass destruction, which made large-scale wars and the death of millions possible. This has left deep scars on the society, fueling existential questions and trauma. The existential despair and the waiting of Godot mirrors the uncertainty and the trauma felt by society in the wake of the Industrial Age. A play where two characters, Vladimir and Estragon, wait endlessly for a mysterious figure who was never arrived, named Godot, who often symbolized as God. The existentialism themes that the play brought is more about the dehumanization and loss of morals in society. It showcases worlds where traditional religious, moral, and society structures have collapsed. People struggle to find the meaning of life and blindly hope for salvation, which put them in a repetitive and meaningless cycle. The existential despair reflects the post-World War II and the ongoing tension of the Cold War. The play suggests the consequences as the aftermath of the Industrial Age and the Enlightenment towards the people. Dr. Foster sets a clear warning from the past, with its character development resembles the state of the Western society post-Enlightenment. Foster's journey reflects the consequences for those who push beyond the limit of human morale. Much like Waiting for Godot, the existential void that Vladimir and Estragon face highlights the emptiness and uncertainty that can follow when meaning and purpose is lost. The characters' despair is like the confusion and emptiness people feel after the trauma of war and the impact of industrial progress. Together, these works critique the Enlightenment and Industrial Age from distinct vantage points, while Dr. Foster dramatizes the consequences of secular ambition and intellectual overreach. Waiting for Godot grapple with the existential emptiness left in its wake. Both suggest that secularism, while liberating humanity from the confines of dogma, also exposes it to the pit of uncertainty, challenging individuals to reconcile that material and the metaphysical in a world where traditional anchors of meaning have been eroded.